Shut up and sit down.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to yet another episode of Epic Fail. This is episode number 154. And we're still dealing with audio issues, so bear with us. We'll get there eventually when we, have time. But anyway, I am Draven Dresden. With me once again this week, the hunter who does not understand what the word kill command on your bar means. We have a Galv.
I think the problem is, howdy, you guys are driving me to the bar talking about kill command. That might be more accurate. need a drink to put up with that. No, it's good. How are you doing?
Sounds like the rest of our raid whenever you're going over strats.
Oh, yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. I'm alright. It's been an interesting couple days. But I'll let you talk about your week first. How have you been? What have you been up to this week?
It's actually been a pretty busy week. One thing that some people know about, some people don't, is that I am a volunteer for a certain organization where I live. And this week was the beginning of our summer season of events. So before Raid on Wednesday night, I was actually volunteering at the events in town, and that was pretty fun. We do a classic car night for our non-for-profit, and it was a huge show. Perfect weather, tons of people, phenomenal. Get done, come to Raid. Had a really good Raid week, actually. I'll let you tell a little bit more about the Volunteer Fire Department's Wednesday action when we get around to that later, because I know that you orchestrated a particular guest appearance. So that was pretty cool. And I have been working on my Hearthstone rank. I made a personal best of rank 7 last month, and this month I actually have gotten all the way to rank 4. So those of you who mess around Hearthstone probably understand what that means. It's a big deal, yeah.
But it's not legend.
It's really close. I mean, it's really close.
It's closer than I'm ever gonna get. I'll give you that.
If I have the decks, if I play smart, if I put the time in and I play smart, I have a chair and a chance to make it to legend. So yeah, so that was exciting this week as well. And then there's a side project I'll talk more about later that's going on. But no, it's been pretty good. Yeah, it's summertime, so got out to the lake a bit, hanging out with the family, stuff like that. So it's been pretty good. Warm out though. Nice.
Yes, I did it again.
The mute file grabs you.
Mute.
Well muted, sir.
It's back in my day. Things just worked. Let's see. You asked me earlier, but I made you go first. My week has been a lot of real life stuff. As I've mentioned multiple times on the show, like for the past, I don't know how many, I'm helping out with my family a lot. Relatives, stuff like that, and well, this week just happened to be one of those weeks where every day was a different family member needed to go to the hospital or a doctor's appointment, and I was the only one available at the specific time, so I got to do that quite a bit.
Does that make you Uber?
They didn't really pay me. Not as much as an Uber would make. Like, they covered my gas, and They bought me some beverages, not adult beverages, just beverages, like flavored waters and stuff like that. After all, I was the one driving.
Thank you, sweetie. Here's some sparkling raspberry water.
Actually, I won't put the name up, but it's an orange cream water, which is one of my favorite, like, ice cream flavors and just, stuff like that. So they bought me quite a few. Not quite a few, but...
Orange cream water.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
It's one of the few flavored waters that I actually like.
Sure.
In terms of games and stuff like that, I put in a few attempts on my druid for both Bear and Kitty, the Mage Tower. And by a few attempts, I mean one each. And it was made very much apparent that I am not ready on either one.
Where's my button bar? I need to make a button bar. You are not prepared.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think I have the gear to do it. And I know the tank one because I did it on my paladin. And I've done the kitty one on my mage. However, I don't have the muscle memory for either spec because I've leveled my druid as resto. I've dungeoned and heroics as resto. I have no muscle memory for bear or kitty, so I have to actually spend some time at a target dummy or something and do that because I know both of the encounters.
Right.
So it's just one of those things. You mentioned during your thing that we had a special guest during raid. Our raid team, Galv and I are on the same raid. For the 3 people who listened that didn't know that or never put it together. We've been doing carries on Wednesday for Heroic Argus. Usually it's another CTR guild or team that we have in, but we bring other people in. We did the same thing for Archimond last expansion for the moose mount, the friendship moose, and this since it's the bird. And I saw someone who was like, I really want this bird, but I can't get it. And I was like, do you have an alliance tune? They're like, yeah, but they're like, I level 800 something. I was like, it's fine.
That was pretty funny.
They lived longer than some of our regulars.
Well,
using the elitist strat of don't stand in crap. So yeah. But yeah, we had I wouldn't call it a celebrity, kind of ish, but for WoW circles, kind of. Ann Stickney from Blizzard Watch showed up. And it took a few minutes, like she wasn't going to make it, and then all of a sudden, her real life fixed, and she could come. So, got her on my battle tag, and then she was set to show offline. So she could message me, but I couldn't message her back. I'm getting back in DMs over at Twitter. I'm like, I can't invite you. You're showing offline. You either have to join off of me or come online so I can invite you. Because I knew who it was. And which it was funny because I messaged somebody else because we had someone else who I didn't know. So I was like, and it was right after I said that. And this other person joined. I was like, are you, Ann? And they're like, no, I'm not Ann. I don't know who this is. I was like, oh, don't worry about it.
You just ask all the new people in our raid team, oh, are you Ann?
No, it was just one.
Just checking.
It was just one of those things that the timing added up to be really funny to me.
Should make it the new protocol. Every time we have a new person in raid, we'll just have you message them and ask them, are you Ann?
Are you Ann? How did you know my name? So yeah, we had someone from Blizzard Watch on Wednesday, and then they gave us credit. They mentioned my name specifically because I was the one who invited them.
Mm-hmm.
And then they asked, what's the name of your guild? I was like, we're Convert to Raid, but we're one of like 87 raid teams, so just say HVFD. We're good. So they mentioned me, and I retweeted and all that. That was cool. But Yeah, so we had our first semi-celebrity guest for our carries. I still want to get Howland and you to agree. Just a random Monday coming up sometime soon this month, preferably, to take out Argus on that day.
Oh, just for some other people?
For some other people that I know, because most of them can't make it on Wednesday. The two I'm thinking of in particular can't make it on Wednesday.
Okay.
And they really would like the bird. So.
Boyd.
Yeah. So if you can talk to Hal and be like, hey, just this one week, it'll be fine.
All right, let me see what I can do.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's been the excitement of my week. Heroes had the new URL come out. The Battleground is not available yet, but URL's out. And I am desperately hoping that I win a key from Wowhead, because I want the freaking Harley Quinn skin for her. And I'm just like, I don't have the cash right now, but I want to get URL just so I can get her up to a couple levels for the free boxes. So yeah, it's one of them.
She's not OP.
Oh no, she's, if anything, underpowered right now.
Yeah, she's a little undertuned, I think.
But it's that skin I want, but it's a purchase. You have to, purchase, and not gold purchase. So there's that.
Well, like that shelf late mail corset sort of look.
No, I just want the Harley Quinn look.
Yeah, but that's what that is.
Yeah. Overwatch. I got play of the game. Almost decent play of the game as Widowmaker. Play of the game for me is not uncommon. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's not uncommon because I play a lot of Junkrat, and tires tend to kill multiple people. But I got it as Widowmaker. And I was like, yes!
So what did you do to earn a Widowmaker play of the game?
Well, I fired 6 shots and killed 5 people.
What?
Headshot, 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 headshot. And then one of them took 2 headshots because it was a tank.
Does it keep track of accuracy?
It did. I didn't have accuracy the entire match, but just that one play of the game section, I was like, perfect. Like they were just standing there. I mean, they were moving a little bit, but they didn't see me, and I just, boom, 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 boom. It was fun. Plus, I had Mercy boosting me, so that made it more fun too.
You Draven pooled them, huh?
Yeah.
6 shots, 5 kills.
Yeah, I just little picture of me with ouchie above my. Yeah, so that's been mostly my week. Farming gold, doing the PvP towers, which are PvE because almost never anybody there. That's, for the appearances and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
But, yeah, so I got to go through the Mage Tower, the list of the appearances, and see which ones I want. I'm pretty sure I can get my Demon Hunter and my Warrior, their tank appearances, if I think they look good. So.
So, I'm just curious, because I'm seeing a lot of your face flying across a chat channel for Discord between you and Zeph. Is that...
I'm in a lot of Discords, and she's in a lot of them, so that narrows it down. I guess I should mention that Blizzard Watch did post a thing for, hey, we're looking to hire writers. And they posted it yesterday, and I applied today. That's probably what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's literally like just bombing across my screen in series. I'm like, you're not typing messages right now, but that's what I'm reading right now.
Yeah.
So
I applied.
That's something that happened this week.
They wanted it about you, tell us about you, why you're being
good here. Don't do that.
Yeah,
it's a trap.
I had some fun with it. And then they wanted, write a story. What would you like to see? And my idea, I went with something completely weird, is Azurite Addictive. And then it said 250 to 500 words, and I used a word counter to make sure I was within that range. I put that in. that kind of thing. So, I'm not expecting to get it, but it's a job I could do, especially since I'm on call with my family 18 hours a day.
Well, it's all pretty cool for the people that actually, it's a little, what do you call it, Cinderella moments
Yeah.
where people that or through association or admiration, also they're like, just apply, and they do, and sometimes it works out. So that's really cool. I haven't seen many people where they're like, oh wow, I hated it, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, I said, it's a job that I think I could do. I could write stories, especially if they say, here's a topic, or here's a list of topics, pick 2, or something like that. I'm like, yeah, sure. I even gave them examples of what I would like to do for some topics, because that was a question they asked, so,
Oh, good. Good. Hey.
And in chat room, you typed out "attaboy Big D." That's something I hear a lot. But that's another stream, isn't it?
Well, I try to keep it to the chat channel, but whatever, if you're going to mention it.
Yeah. We reference it all the time.
So speaking of, do you want to dig into a little of what's going
on? Sure. We probably should. I mean, this is kind of the point of the podcast, not, hey, this is our week. Okay, bye, thanks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so first up, we've got the novel Before the Storm has been unleashed to everybody. Mm-hmm. Book form, audiobook form. I'm sure it's out on, like iPad and stuff like that. Have you read it or listened to it yet?
No, but I think I'm going to get it. I really enjoyed the last book I read just recently, and I think the feedback I've been seeing about this is it's pretty good. I love reading.
Oh, I love reading too, depending on the topics and the authors. Like, I'm not going to read a Richard Knack novel. I'm sorry. I know he did some WoW books. I cannot...
Whoa. Richard Knack also did some of the Dragonlance Chronicle books.
Well, I'm not reading his Warcraft stuff. How about that? I read a couple little bits of it, and it was not my style. Okay. Christy Golden, I'm cool with. Plus, she lets me tease her on Twitter about killing kids.
Right.
We had a great interaction this week. She's going back and forth, and someone mentioned they play mage or warlock, and she's like, I actually main mage or main warlock or something. Like, yeah, that means someone's gonna kill some more gnomes. And I was like, or she's gonna kill a pair of gnomes. And I linked a picture of Jaina over, the ashes of Kindi. I was like, well, she's halfway there. And I was just back and forth, and I got called a terrible person while she was smiling and laughing at me. But, yeah, it was.
So what? Okay, and that was a good interaction. I was pretty entertained by that myself. Have you read it yet?
Read it? No. Listen to it? Yes. I got it over Audible because I
tend to equate those two. I think audiobooks are roughly equivalent to the reading of. So how far into are you?
I'm done.
Well, there you go.
Are you kidding? If I'm reading a book, like reading, depending on the book, I can devour it overnight. If it's an audiobook, I usually 2 to 3 days.
Yeah, last I checked, when it's something I like reading, I can get upwards of 450 to 470 words per minute in. And depending on the author, I can actually comprehend all that. Sometimes I have to go back. Some authors have really subtle or complex writing styles. Yeah. But for things like, the last book I read was one of, who's the dude that does Percy Jackson? I'll think of his name in a minute.
Ryan.
Rick Riordan. His most recent was the Trials of Apollo, the third book. Man, his writing style is expressly for ADD middle schoolers to young adults.
Oh yeah,
and I can
perfect
just high speed tram right through the book. So that's pretty entertaining.
The last book that I read overnight was the final Harry Potter book.
Yep.
Not anything that came after the series, the original set, but that final one. And the reason was I knew people at work were going to be talking about it the next day, so I had to do it because I didn't want to be spoiled.
Yeah, Fraisley, you look like you're straight out of a Percy Jackson like fantasy setup.
Yeah.
That would be pretty much your. I can see that.
Yeah, but the Dresden Files are the ones that I have to actively try not to read overnight.
Yep.
Because I know I have to wait for the next one. So, plus, I mean, on a positive side of that, though, I do own all but one or two of them on audio form also.
Well,
So,
I mean, not to re-rail us a little better, but the feedback I've seen on Chrissy Golden's recent effort has been all positive.
yeah.
All positive.
I liked a couple of the other ones better, but this was not a bad book at all. This was good.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
like
no one's complaining.
I didn't like certain parts of it, but that was the narrative and not the story. They're different. Like, there were some things I was like, I don't like what they're doing there. But it fit with the story, so I can't get mad at it. But it definitely does set up good guys and bad guys. Just saying. No spoilers. Anduin's a jerk. But yeah, it's read by the guy who voiced Anduin, which I didn't know that until later. I'm like, this dude sounds like Anduin. And then I saw it's
Coincidence?
I actually
No.
read that it was voiced by the guy who voices Anduin. I was like, that would explain that. I was like, alliance bias.
Well, it doesn't often go that way, but this time around,
more often
pretty good.
than you think. But,
Well, I don't know. It depends. It depends. The Horde has its pretty solid following on that, but so
Yeah.
one of the other things that's been a big deal that I saw, and I don't know if this is the same thing to the alterations, but we have a lot of friends of the show or people in our circles that do cosplay, including Casplay, and there have been
Last
some
year's
changes
winner?
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
There's been some changes.
Before we
you
get
want
to
do
that,
something?
yeah. Before we get to that, there is something. If you're here live and you have a ticket and you bought a ticket for somebody else and you haven't switched over the names, you have 4 days. You have until June 20th to make the alterations. After that, they're stuck in that person's name. That doesn't mean that you can't get them in. It just means that their ticket won't be in their name.
So the collectability of it drops a bit.
Yeah. So you've got another couple days to get the stuff put into your name.
Gotcha.
But yeah, as for the community night, aka the talent show and the cosplay and all that, which they just changed the community night.
Yeah.
They changed up some of the rules
Right.
this year, so it'll be different. I'm still debating on if I like these rules. I know the cosplayers seem to love these rules because they mention it specifically. That this is what they wanted.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
The couple of things that jumped out at me were, first off, the 25 finalists that they're selecting from. They're going to pre-select. They're following up with all of the contestants that are in to make sure, at this point you should be 25% done your costume. At this point you should be halfway done, that kind of stuff, to make sure that they're all completed on time, so when they go up on stage they're not half-baked. Right, yeah. Right. And then they're up to 5 categories. And I think that the benefit to that is that people who did it by themselves or did it with one other person aren't up against, like, a team of 3D crafting engineers with, warehouse-sized resources making, arcane golem cosplays, things like that. So, do you want to go over these categories really quick?
Oh, I mean, it's easy. Individual duo, aka 1 or 2 people working on it. Group, 3 or more.
Yep.
Artisan crafting. It's the fine details and stuff like that.
Right.
So it basically the detail you're entering for detail work.
Yeah, the focus is not so much on the full cosplay effect of makeup, design, size, things like that, but wow, look at how much time they put into the leather working, the tailoring, or the metal crafting, that kind of stuff, which is a great category because some people don't have the other stuff, but do, that's their jam.
Yeah. Large scale fabrication, which is pretty much exactly what you'd think, the big costumes. And then there's makeup and special effects.
Right. So that one, just the way that it includes prosthetics, hair, makeup, body painting, along with special effects, lighting, and animatronics.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, they had to, anything they could think of, they had to throw in there. But yeah.
But there's some people where there's not much to the costume per se, except for prosthesis and all of the more StarCraft related stuff, or Overwatch perhaps.
Yeah. So reading this though, it doesn't look like you can be in multiple categories, and it doesn't say whether or not there's one winner. Or is it one winner per category now?
My belief is that there's probably at least one per category.
I would like to see a one per category, but I would like an overall winner. Like, this is the best one this year. I don't care if 100 people worked on it or one person worked on it. I'd like a definitive, this is the best one this year. Or the one they liked the most.
I'm guessing there's probably some format like that, but I thought it was exciting because at least if you're in one of those categories, you have a better chance to excel and get the top prize for that craft.
Yeah, I mean, there's 25, there's 5 categories. That's 5 per category. So if you're in the top 5 if you're up there at that point.
Exactly. Even though it filters up at that point, but still, the 25 finalists on Community Night should be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then the movie and music and all that and art, they're all going to have changes to them later on. I would imagine it's probably going to be something semi-similar.
Right. And analogous to how they did the cosplay.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't have any real details there yet.
But we will be sure to tell you when we find out.
Yeah.
Please double check to make sure Alice Saunders Notes doesn't have it and we just missed it.
Well, I went straight to the Blizzcon site, so if she's got it and I don't, then there's a problem with Blizzard promoting their stuff.
She's pretty thorough.
Oh, yeah. If it's on the internet, she'll find it. Which is both a curse and a blessing, depending on what she's looking for.
Some of us are a little terrified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
well, fire away, man.
So I saw the body painting. Does that mean we're gonna have, or we could have people up there in nothing but body paint? Because that could be.
I would think that
different?
It would be prosthesis. I think that if you remember,
I think certain body parts would obviously need to be covered, but otherwise they could go up in just pure body paint, as long as it's designated okay.
Like Mystique out of the original X-Men movie with Hugh Jackman, where it was Charlize Theron.
No, it was somebody else. I can't remember her name. She was married. Rebecca Romijn.
Yes, Rebecca Romijn. Yeah. And so that kind of prosthesis, I would imagine, where, as you say, it's almost entirely body paint. But there's the possibility there for some really good combo prosthesis body paint.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, like someone like I'm going to butcher her name. I apologize, but Dejari from Method.
Oh, yeah,
she has the body paint stream. If she did something Warcraft,
I know who you're talking about.
Blizzard related for body paint, she could be up there. I mean, she'd obviously have to have certain body parts covered. Enough that it wouldn't be bad, but
doesn't she do the? She's the one that does not just the body paints, but it's like the perspective. Like she makes herself disappear or makes it look like just with a advanced paint scheme, even though it's just a paint scheme that it's got like depth or
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, no, she doesn't. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so. I mean, I'm aware of her existence, but I've never actually watched her stream. So I couldn't tell you what all she does.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, it'll be interesting.
We've got I Run to Drink. Is that his name in chat? Mm-hmm. If you, he's excited here. What's he on about?
That thing I literally just now put in the show notes because I just didn't
care. Because it's kind of like
it's Diablo.
Hardly anyone pays attention.
Yeah. Season 14.
More people play StarCraft.
Actually, that's probably true. Season 14 of Diablo started up last night.
Last night.
Yeah. So it is the season of greed. What does that mean? Goblins.
Yeah, it means double treasure goblins all season long.
Yep, goblins.
So, I mean, maybe while we're going on about this, Iron will give us a one sentence judgment on how his initial impressions have gone. But treasure goblins are always the most exciting thing you find when you're doing.
Well, there's twice as much of them, so if you get lucky, you got a ton of them. I just want to get to that level where it's all treasure goblins.
Yes.
Not the special one with the boss that you need the ring to get into, but just
right.
a random rift or whatever it's called. I think it's a rift.
Yeah, it's like that's
all the enemies inside are treasure goblins.
That is one of the most iconic pieces of
Diablo 3.
Diablo. Yeah, where basically as you're chasing this thing down, they're just like spurting out treasure, and it doesn't just fall on the floor. Like, oh, they dropped something. No, it explodes from as you hit them, they bleed loot. So that's pretty fun.
Depending on what kind of goblin it is, yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. There's jelly goblins, and there's
all kinds of goblins. You have the gem goblin, the gold goblin, the
item goblin,
bloodstone goblin, the item goblin. So this will be the season if you want a gold farm.
Well, get out there if you like Diablo. Give it a try. Play with your friends. It's a refreshing change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I play it every now and then, usually within the first month of the new season, and I stop for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's usually like I enjoy getting back into it, but I just can't do the grind. I don't know how we will ever go back to single goblins, he says. Once you give the people, their treats, it's almost like penalizing them to take it away again.
Well, it's just the season, so you're just going to have to deal with it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, StarCraft. There's tournaments going on. If you would like more detail than that, I recommend going to Alessander's Notes for the Week. That is from alessander.com. If it's StarCraft related, she's got sections for every game. More than any one or two or even three shows could ever possibly do, unless it's like a dead news week.
There is a nugget in here that caught my interest, which there's two, but the one that I think is really, really interesting is that Hearthstone and StarCraft 2 are designated to be Olympic sports at the Asia Games coming up.
Yeah, we covered that last week, I believe.
Well, I forgot to mention the StarCraft 2 part. And then UK military fears robots learning war from video games. Is it possible that the Skynet phenomenon is going to be rooted in StarCraft?
I never really thought that would be a thing, but now that I'm thinking about it, it makes perfect sense that a game as difficult to play well as StarCraft could be the starting point of something like Skynet.
So is it possible that Alessander will eventually be Skynet's mama?
Mama. That would be different.
I'm just, using the transitive properties.
I think she would be one of the last humans alive because of her just insane fandom of StarCraft. There's nothing wrong with StarCraft, don't get me wrong, but she's probably one of the biggest fans of the game out there, outside of the professionals who are actually making money, and then you never really know if they're actually fans or not, and they're just like, I'm just doing it for the cash.
Along with that, the other thing that you and I have been doing in the last week or so is something that I had shelved for a while, but picked it up this week. And you already alluded to it early in your intro, is Heroes of the Storm has a couple of really cool events going on for those of you who are Warcraft fans. You want to tell them a little bit more about that?
Well, there's a series of quests like they've been doing with every event. Play games, get kills, play games with friends, blah, blah, blah. This one is Warcraft specific. There's 2 different quests out of the 4 you have to play as Warcraft characters.
Yeah, it's extensive though. There's a big intro.
Yeah, you have to pick Alliance or Horde, and once you pick, it asks you to confirm for your rewards. You'll get, and it's guaranteed, you'll get a loot box that'll have either hero. It'll just have heroes in it. If it's one. In my case, if it wasn't URL, it was a duplicate, so I got a duplicate.
Whoa.
I know.
That's a bummer.
I wasn't expecting her out of it anyway, so no biggie. But then you get portraits and sprays and stuff like that. But most importantly, you get a mount. And which mount you get will vary depending on if you picked Horde or Alliance. Alliance get a ram.
Bad choice.
And Horde get a Frostwolf.
How nice.
So, Galv, as an Alliance player in Warcraft,
yes,
I have to ask, did you say for the Horde or for the Alliance?
I pulled the trigger for the Alliance, and there's two reasons. I understood that the first part of the quest was to use a Warcraft hero, and one of the earliest heroes that I became relatively proficient at in Heroes of the Storm was the Griffin Rider,
Falstad.
And not only that, but I have a bunch of his legendary skins, including the one where instead of a griffin, he's a pirate, or riding a giant parrot, with the hook for a front claw, and not just like it's like a super colorful parrot, very irritable with an eye patch and a claw, or a hook for a claw. So I made a rather rational decision that if I have to grind him out, I want to grind him out with one of the heroes I'm good with and have cool things to see on. So that was the basis of my decision. So for the Alliance.
Okay.
Yes.
So myself being an Alliance main currently, I did not pick the Alliance one because I wanted the wolf and not the ram.
It's probably a good pick.
So I picked for the Horde. So Fist, you're welcome. I need that cash.
Well, the other interesting thing is when I started playing, it was because I saw Line of Sight Gaming back on, and it was Tatva.
Yep.
Who hasn't been on much at all lately.
Not too much, no. He's on my list too, so.
Yeah, so I got in that night with a group with Tatva, and we picked up Howland a little bit later. But I mean, I think we went like 6-1. We were absolutely dominating, just racking up the kills. So it made it a lot of fun to go through, guesting on Line of Sight with Tatva. And I know that's not his primary focus, but he does play a lot of heroes. I was just happy to see him on again and encourage him. And bonus, got to crush it. Yeah. So that was fun.
Yeah, I'm still on the group with friends quest because my playtime is limited for that game, at least, or at least compared to the other ones.
Exactly.
So I'll get there, but I'll get them out, and then I still got to do I still got 4, 5, 6 of the Hero League placements to do. Finish that off. I'm if I remember correctly, I am 3-1, 4-1, something like that. So I just gotta finish that. We're good though. But yeah, Urel's out. She's got that cool Harley Quinn skin, which is the only skin I would ever use on her.
There's 3 different variations on it.
There's 3 variations, but only one of them is Harley Quinn. It's black and red.
Yeah, but the other ones are similar.
Yeah, they're similar.
They look pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all cool, but yeah, the one's black and red. But also with heroes, mid-season brawls going on.
Yes.
NA has 1 hope left, I believe, and that is Tempo Storm. I think they were just knocked down to the losers bracket. Find out tomorrow.
I'm trying to double check on that. Yeah, I think that's going to be tomorrow we find out.
Yeah. But so far the upper bracket finals is Korea versus Korea, to no one's surprise. And then when Korea loses and wins that fight, they get knocked down to the the lower bracket, and then it'll just be Korea versus Korea again in the grand final.
Right.
Because no one has any illusion that the two quote-unquote best EU teams they just fell behind Korea this year.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you get to the end, you don't want to sugarcoat it. You'd rather have the two best teams playing for the final, right? So, although a lot of us roll our eyes and clap back a little bit about that, it's not because it's Korea. It's just it's a given. It's a foregone conclusion that they're going to be in the final right now.
For this game, for Overwatch, There have been times where
it's less that it's them. It's teams, more that yes, we'd like to see everyone else rise to the occasion.
Yeah,
that's the way of saying it.
The first BlizzCon had the only time a US won an international. And then
we're not that bad. We're not that bad. We're just not that good.
Yeah, we're not. So our pro teams aren't bad until you compare them to EU and Korea.
Yep.
And then it's like, we don't take it anywhere near seriously enough, and we just don't have the talent and skill. So, But yeah, mid-season brawl. It started at 4 a.m. earlier today. I literally pulled it up on my phone and went to sleep because of the whole drop thing. Oh, they're doing drops. If you watch enough streams, you get stuff. So I had it up on my phone, which is linked to my Twitch account. And I just turned the sound up to one tick above muted, so I get credit. And just left it on all night. It was plugged in, so it didn't matter. I got no drops, but, it is what it is.
Oh, well.
Yeah, no biggie. So, yeah. Vote for your favorite Korea team now. Because they're the ones who's going to win.
You should. Yeah. You should.
If you're going to bet money, honestly.
Absolutely.
Genji.
There you go.
The one that sounds like Genji. They're the ones that are probably going to win. They've dropped, I think, one map so far for the entire mid-season brawl.
They're doing really well.
Yeah. They're really good, though.
Oh, no. I just looked ahead.
Okay.
I was hoping for different news.
I know what you're looking at.
Yeah. Oh, well, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Up next is Hearthstone, and this is where Gavel talk, and I will sit back and act like I care. I'm kidding.
This is, as long as you turn your mic off, this is the best part of the show. No, I'm kidding. I'm teasing. Hearthstone has a couple of things going on. Now, something that happened last week, right after we signed off, is that they started in a special arena event called Taverns of Time. So, unlike the regular arena, in this one, there's special cards that only appear in the arena, and it's related to Toki the Time Mage. And it has got some crazy stuff in there. If you guys have not played, you get one arena entry for free. It's not going to last much longer. And the quests that are available right now offer double rewards because of the Taverns of Time event. And it's a lot of fun. Like, one I'm trying to think of, it's an Infinite Wolf, for example. And when you summon it, it's got Rush. Once it attacks, it gets shuffled back into your deck. As long as it doesn't die, it gets shuffled back into your deck, and the next wolf you pull up is +1/+1. So if you're in the arena build, for example, you might be able to pick up 3 or 4 of these cards for your deck, and you're just, buffing all the other wolves in your deck. Really cool things like that. And then one of the other pieces that's coming up is I was paying attention on Twitter to the Into the Wild podcast group is putting together a wild format Hearthstone league. And there will be more news forthcoming on that. But interested parties are going to volunteer their time to do announcing or casting of those events. So look forward to that. Similar to the grassroots based regular standard format that took off. This one is wild, and it's pretty much no holds barred Hearthstone. You're like, what? What do you mean? Every card is in play, and
Is allowed.
yeah, every
Slightly
card is
different.
available to be used.
Yeah.
But that means that some of the combos that people come up with, like I linked that one the other week where we saw someone do 512 damage on a hit, or I think it was five. It was up there, north of 500. Yeah, with a hero ability. So, those of you who like math and bending the rules of space and time, this one's for you. So hopefully we'll see some more about that. Yeah, and some of the people who are going to be participating, it'd be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So if I get updates on that, I will pass it along during shows coming up. But please support your Hearthstone efforts. It's not Overwatch, so it doesn't get all the jam. We're used to that.
Yeah. Jumping back to Heroes real quick, chat room brought up some of the popular streamers. I know Dunk Train has it. But I don't know if it's all the Hero streamers or just the semi-popular ones. If you watch them also while they're playing Heroes, drops are enabled for them too. So as long as you're watching Heroes, you should get the drops, so you can get loot out of it. Yeah, that's interesting Hearthstone news you have there. I mean, I don't really play it anymore because of the whole... I just kept falling further and further behind and finally just gave up. So
yeah, you got to keep up. I mean, once you get caught up, it's the easiest stage to stay caught up. But if you fall behind, you have to really put in a lot of effort to catch back up.
Yeah, I don't have the time or will to put the effort in to catch up, and I don't have the money to do it.
It feels that way.
Yeah.
That Hearthstone pack deal is still going until the 18th, though, so you got 2 more days.
Yep. Let's see. Moving on to Overwatch. We now have the official worst record in sports history.
This is where the saddest of trombones should sound and echo against the clouds. That's taps. Yeah.
So,
the saddest of taps.
Yeah, so Shanghai Dragons in the Overwatch League went the entire first season 0-40. Admittedly, midway through Stage 3, they did a restructuring of their team, and they had people who didn't speak the same language as each other. So, we were hopeful they'd get a win, but realistically, they got close a couple times.
Can we just pause that for a moment? They're really good players. They're really good. I mean, they're better than any players I personally know by a long shot, and they just.
Well, I mean, I don't know any Overwatch League players, so yeah, that would mean that they're better than everyone I know.
But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's not like watching the old movie Major League where they, tried to pick up the worst people in the world to play for the Indians so the team would bomb out and they'd be able to move them to Florida and make more money. Like, these are legitimate players, and they're good. They just... God bless them, it didn't have it. Yeah.
Yeah, so here's the big issues right now. Language barrier. They weren't all speaking the same language. That's a huge thing in that kind of a game. But also, from what I'm seeing and what the casters were noting, only one of them would have one or two of them would have like an actual good game for them at a time. Like, the entire group just didn't make a cohesive team. So now they've got some time. They can work on the language barrier. Maybe they can, get past that and they'll know, oh, okay, we know what to do now for working together. So there's always next year, hopefully.
You got to give credit to the fans, too, because
every
I think
time.
that everyone was,
every
so
time.
supportive. So supportive. Everyone wanted to see them pick up the win.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned this. I have the Diva skin for Shanghai Dragons. That was the first one I bought. And that was the day Giguri debuted. And
Nice.
She was playing Diva. If she would have played Zarya, I probably... Well, I don't know if I would have done Zarya. Because I've got the industrial skin for Zarya, and that's one of my Hot Topic trio. As we dubbed it on another episode of another show.
She's never been
But
diving.
there's more, so, you know. But yeah,
Yep.
it'll be interesting. Hopefully next year... I don't think they're going to go 40-0 next year. But hopefully at least 5 or 10?
Man, yeah, I hope. I mean, it just because it's. Do they get a draft pick out of it or something? I hope so.
No. I mean, they have their own little minor leagues that they could pick from. Honestly, their players that they have now, I think they're good enough that I don't think they're going to be first place. Not with New York. Especially with next year when freaking Flower shows up and just guess what? It's New York's year next year. Everyone's like
Power.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, we hear currently with Overwatch League, you hear stories about people like Pine and Dia on Widowmaker, and they are looking forward to and dreading the moment Flower shows up because then it's all Flower, Widowmaker. If presuming the meta supports Widowmaker still at that point, which it should.
I think there's always going to be a place for long range headshots.
Yeah, and he is considered the best on the planet. Last I checked, been a little while, and he'd be in Overwatch League now. He's just not old enough.
Yep.
Which is funny. But yeah, next season he's there, and as I understand it, he's on New York's team.
Well, that's how it goes. It's going to be hard to deal with for. I think there's only 2 other Widow players that might be able to at least just check him for a good portion of the matches. And
at least parts of them. I don't know about good portions. I've seen him play. Like I've tried to, not necessarily the same shots, but I've tried to get the same angles and the positioning, and I can't do it. Like thin slots, like make sure this number's covered up.
Basically hitting headshots through keyholes of a garage.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pine is the best bet to go up against him, and I don't know that he could.
Who's the other one I'm thinking of?
There's
one other player
that I know of that gets credit for
Yep. Pine and I swear there's a third, but it's those 2 that whenever they play against each other, basically Widows are only fighting Widows for almost the whole match, and if someone else wanders across their sights, gone.
Yeah.
Sideways jumping, and all of a sudden it's like you see these 2 obstacles, and then they for a moment there's a hollow spot right through the middle where there's a head. Gone.
Yeah. Reaction time is just insane for these guys. But we'll see. We'll see how it works out, and I'm still going to be rooting. I think everyone's still going to be rooting for the Dragons next season, just for that. Win.
I might have to go get some more Dragon gear.
Yeah, once they get that first win, I hope the fanfare stays with them. Because at this point, I don't know if it's just people wanting them to get that first win or if they're actually trying to cheer them on. That's the only downside of the situation is we don't know.
Well, everyone wants parity. There's going to be a loser every year for sure.
Yeah.
But not like that. Not with that caliber of player.
Yeah. Well, we'll see next year. Get the playoffs going. They're going to... Next week, I believe, is the playoffs. Or the week after. They might have a week off. I don't remember. But they're doing the last couple games tomorrow. So, I think. It was either tonight or tomorrow, and then they have some time off. But we will see.
First season of playoffs. It'll be good.
Yeah. And that brings us to Warcraft news.
Who plays that game?
Okay, yeah, we're done. All right, so first off, if you were here during the pre-show and were able to deal with the drop frame issues that we were having, the music you were hearing is the newly released called Before the Storm. And it's basically the login screen. That was the music. I've been hearing a lot of people say it's just missing that oomph. And I don't know. It's not the same, but at the same time, it's not like no one's saying it's bad. It's just it doesn't feel like a login screen kind of music.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's not like I said, it's not bad. It's just people are saying it just doesn't feel like login screen music.
It might grow on me because some of the other stuff has been so dramatic that after X number of months of listening to Legion login music, dun, 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 you know. Okay, well,
I turn music off after I level, and I've been in the zones for a little bit, and then when I go into a new, like if I go into a dungeon I've never been in, music comes back on. Raid music and sounds and stuff come back on because I want to hear it. But after that first or second time, everything's back off and I go back to my music.
I mean, you remember when they did the Calliope and the garrisons, the Draenor garrisons, where you could get the different music for the jukebox Calliope? That would be kind of cool if, like, depending on which expansions you've played through, the intro could be a splash from a different expansion, just for a little variety.
Suggest that.
All right, Howland, you heard me. at Howland, fix the intro splash.
Yeah. Well, make it so we can pick. Even if you have to go into the options to do it, you can pick the login music.
Like, check the ones you like.
Yeah, and it'll be random. I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, they've already got it. That animation and that music it's not so taxing on your computer.
Yeah, I mean, we have access to it. It's probably they're all probably on our computer still. Because I don't think
it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't think they use the same file name.
Frasely, make it happen.
But yeah. Moving on.
Yep.
We had what seemed to be a last-minute Q&A. Like, we found out about it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right around there, and it was a Thursday thing. So we had just a couple days for a Q&A.
Some of them are brilliant. Like, what's the one here I saw? Blood trolls aren't an allied race. Someone misspoke in an interview. Like,
yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Yeah. Possible more allied races in the future. No one's really shocked by this. But they aren't going to, here's the new ones for this expansion. They're not doing that. I'm not sure if anyone really believes that. But
yeah,
that's what they said.
There's a lot of spit and polish here about different stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to it that really, I guess the best part to say, I guess, is go and look it up. Go check out the cliff notes from the Q&A. Obviously, they're still piecing things together in order of what they decide's important.
Yeah. Some of the highlights. Basically, that's what we're going to cover is the highlights. Patch cycle is going to be kind of like what happened with Legion, or at least that's their hopes. Big patches, small patches, big patches, small patches. The difference being is some of the big patches aren't going to feel like small patches because they're not doing class quests. So if you only play one character, you actually only get 1/12 of the patch, basically. This next one will be, no, we're going to actually put a bunch of stuff. So hopefully that's there. Flying, we know it's Pathfinder. That's how it's going to work. They did confirm, which is we already mentioned it. Either Zandalari or Kirin Tor, Coltaren, not Kirin Tor.
Someone misspoke in an interview.
No, it wasn't that. It was they data mined the achievement, and there was a bug on it.
No, I meant you. I meant you just misspoke.
Yeah.
Like, where did you get the Kirin Tor? No, No,
Yeah.
cool Turan.
Well, mages are already part of the Kirin Tor, so yeah, well, kind of. Class changes. So this is where this is the section that had the people most upset.
The most salty.
Yeah, the salt was
Yeah.
flowing more than normal in a Twitch chat Q&A. In between the no one cares about this, tell us about Classic. Which, yes, there was Classic news. Yes, we'll get to it. But
Yeah.
one answer completely destroyed people in chat and made Twitter feeds were going crazy. And that was some of the major changes are going to have to wait for a patch. People are taking that as, guess what? Our classes aren't going to be done.
That's the way it feels.
Yeah.
From unless it was really misspoken, it's like, God, guess we're just gonna have to balance out and finish the classes mid-expansion.
So, okay, so I play a Ret Paladin. I am used to weird changes mid-expansion. Every expansion.
Right.
But I literally went from, in Cataclysm, I care nothing at all about this stat to, crap, that's my most important one during a patch. It wasn't even a change of a raid tier. It was during a patch.
I feel like stat weighting, like that's just going to happen. Where at some point during the expansion, a stat weight shift is going to happen for optimization, where you have to chase something. But the mechanics of, you don't even know, your class is half baked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so from what it sounds like, the abilities and stuff like that are done. It's just the numbers. For this ability does this much, this ability does this much. That's what's going to change. And sometimes when they change that, everything else changes with it. So
yeah,
it doesn't seem like it's going to be a stat thing. It seems like it's just going to be like your rotation might change, which I'm fine with, because I've been using pretty much the same rotation, quote unquote rotation, all expansion. It's make sure judgment is on the target so you can do some damage.
I will say two things about that, though. Is some people go into the expansion picking a class because they play a whole bunch of different classes, but they intentionally chose that class because, as far as they can tell, it will give them the best chance for the nicest parses, or they're going in looking for guns ablazing, big stuff, heroic rating, mythic rating, and of course there's the mythic rating groups. Is my second piece to that, is where they're intentionally stacking the deck for this, although I guess they've got all the time in the world on their hands apparently. But what happens when you do that and all of a sudden they're like, zoinks, that's not the real number.
Well, to that I would say they do run, most of the high-end guilds require alts. Whether it is for currently alt farming, that kind of thing. So they do keep multiple characters at fairly close-ish item level. And yeah, between that and the personal loot change, World First is going to be a little weird this next expansion. At least the first tier anyway. So we'll see.
Yeah, theory brings up a great point, is that you never take the top one, because the top one is already, as you go into the expansion, doomed to come down, regress to the mean as they balance. But yeah, you pick the upper middle. But I mean, still though, what if they just like, oh no, it wasn't supposed to do that, and then yeah, and then what else is on
artifacts? So when 8.0 goes live, which is the next patch, it's currently on the PTR. If you don't mind spoilers, go over and play. You'll see pretty much everything you need, except for the major stuff. Like, you're not going to see anything burning up Toaders and all that kind of thing. It's just current. Like, that stuff is all pre-patch stuff, which isn't part of 8.0, but they're not putting it up there yet. But anyway, artifact traits. AKA all those things you put all that artifact power into gone. You do the chain, and your artifact just, it doesn't lose item level, but it loses all those abilities. And you know what else that means you lose? If you lose an ability, like if your artifact has an ability on it, like in my case, since I'm a Rep Paladin, Wake of Ashes is my weapon ability. While my trait's disabled. That means I don't have that ability anymore unless I talent it. So you have to keep that in mind now.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't do this quest, at a certain point, and it might even just be 8.0's day on it, that day on its own, but I doubt they're going to do that. It'll probably be closer to the end of the expansion. But at some point, it's going to be just like everything else. It's just there, and it just happens. Which means leveling up next expansion through Legion content, you're going to have no artifact power whatsoever. You're going to have artifact knowledge at 55, which will do you absolutely no good.
That's kind of funny.
But anything that drops artifact is, from what I hear, going to be dropping minuscule gold.
See, I wondered to myself if they could have tuned that a little better where it was content related. So, for example, if you progress through Balance of Power every time you checked off another thing that would later just become an achievement for Legion, like you're leveling through Legion, that would just unlock that stuff for you as you progress through that content, but perhaps not. It just seems like such a simple. The more things you can check off your list, if you defeated this boss, this boss, this boss, this boss, this event, this city you saved, and this, you had that many traits. But
I mean,
oh well.
This is definitely the simpler version.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just all around. It's either on or off. So I get where they're coming from. It. Mythic pluses are getting some changes, which we already knew. But some of the big ones, there's going to be a seasonal affix. And that'll change every new season, whether it's like the PvP season or literally every like spring, summer, autumn, that kind of thing. They didn't really go into, but I have a feeling it could be tied to like PvP season and raid tiers, stuff like that. But Mythic Pluses are guaranteed to either be tyrannical or fortified. End of story. Thank you. Goodbye. So you guarantee harder boss or harder trash Mythic Plus, no matter what, and then you get the other affixes after.
Right, that's the initial affix.
Yeah.
Affix.
I'm fine with this.
I'd like to see it bear out a bit first. See some actual, see an example, but they've got an idea, and I think that it's going to be clean guidelines to play within for that style of game.
Yeah,
so,
they mentioned specifically you could run like a 7, 8, or 9, or whatever it was, 7 and 8, and then you didn't want to get too high because this boss with Tyrannical was just bad at the time.
Yeah.
So there were people intentionally tanking certain ones so they didn't get that extra oomph. And
yep. That's
so you're just going to
you shouldn't have people doing that.
Yeah, so it's just going to be one of those two from now on. End of story, at least for the next expansion. Here's something new, and I actually like this system way better than the current one, and that is for the Heart of Azeroth, the necklace. Catch-up mechanics. So currently, I am in need of several trillion artifact power for my next point.
Right.
So, for those of you who don't know trillion, that's 3 commas.
It's I like this idea. They were able to pull this off.
It's 4 commas.
Yeah. Fail. The stat squish piece, like the whole idea is don't make the numbers astronomically bigger. And I think they got this one right. So yeah. So
basically, instead of here's 2.5 billion for completing this quest, no, it's going to be here's 2,500, but you need way less.
I mean, it could even be less. I mean, you could be talking
random
like
numbers.
single digits.
Yeah, random
Right.
numbers.
Yeah.
So, but the catch-up is if you don't earn extra, your numbers that you need to catch up are lower and lower. You're still going to be behind, but not the way you were for this expansion, at least for the most part.
Yep.
Especially the early, say, half of the expansion. And it's going to work the same with PvP.
Yep.
And I mean, PvP has been like that for a while. If you don't play long enough, you earn extra, blah blah blah. So
I liked the changes are growing on me a bit as far as the actual PvP laddering system for the how you get through there and those rewards. I think that's good. A lot of us still harken back to the good old days of helping your buddies rank up through the PvP massacres of Alterac Valley. But as far as what you get today, I mean, the whole season progress for PvP has been pretty good. And the prestige that goes, the prestige resets that go with it.
Yep. Each rank you have to win enough to get your loot boxes at the end of the week. And you get based on the highest one you have won during that week. So the example given during the Q&A was if you had a friend who carried you all the way up to Gladiator, you have to keep winning Gladiator in order to keep getting Gladiator loot boxes. And upon saying that, Twitch chat just went, lol, carry to Gladiator. Like 50 of them, just right then and there. I was like, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. But here's a pro tip. If you have a lot of the PvP mounts, but you still have those reigns for, like, if you PvP on multiple tunes, there's only so many mounts you can get now. Hold on to those reigns where you turn in 4 mounts. You can turn them in next expansion for those mounts and be some of the first people to get them.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. I mean, you're not really cheating, so it's not... You're just not turning it in, so more mounts are available. But they're gonna do seasons much like they have been, but there's gonna be post-seasons. Basically, they don't want to be able to announce the end of a PvP season, say, this is the end of the season, and then all us people who are doing the raids are like, hey guys, new raid's coming out. Patch day. I personally would rather them tell us when the patches are, so we know, so we can, like, especially like the world first people, hey, this new raid comes out on this day. Maybe they do tell them and they just can't say anything, like they have NDAs. I don't know.
I can't imagine that people are like queued up to take off of work for the first day of PvP patch day, though.
No, not for PvP. It's whenever a new patch comes out where we know when the new raid is. They don't always give us a lot of notice.
Oh, I meant for the PvP part, where it's like the difference. Like, oh, it's the next PvP season. I better take off of work to go.
No.
Right.
Unless they're doing that as their job anyway, then no, they wouldn't take off. But no, like the raiders, the world first, like methods and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Whenever a new raid comes out, they have to know when the raids are coming out. So they probably do know when the patches are going to hit prior to. Now that I'm thinking about it. They just probably aren't allowed to say anything. So you can't really ask them because they'd be like, yeah, we don't know. Because they wouldn't be allowed to say otherwise.
It's kind of an unfair advantage, but if they actually knew before the other public, but
it's not really an unfair advantage. It's just more of that's their freaking job, and they have sponsors and stuff like that. If they can't show up, then they can't do it. If they lose the sponsors, if the world first thing goes away, blah, 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 blah. Moving on, because that was basically the Q&A in a nutshell, aka we really didn't learn a whole lot. I love the Q&As. I wish there were more of them. This was not one of the best ones. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, we should just get them to come on to the program here, and we can just, interview Ian here. That'd be good.
As much as I would love for that to happen, I know too much about that kind of thing. There's no chance that would happen.
Just don't tweet at Laura on his personal Twitter account about that. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Hey, Laura, can you come on and interview Ian on our show? It'll be fine.
I'll get you some room right next to my kids' cereal boxes and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. There was another thing for Warcraft. They did a story thing over at E3. Christy Golden, Taryn Gregory. I know Matt Mercer was the host, the narrator dude. And then there was another guy who is basically the senior story developer over at Blizzard. I can't remember his name. But basically the guy who comes up with the story, the guy who's in charge of the cinematics, and then the girl who does the books and likes killing gnomes and turning them to dust. Because that joke's never going to get old.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, we didn't really learn too much, except for they love doing it, which we knew. If you want some information, like from their point of view, it's good to watch. It's over on Warcraft VODs and probably over on YouTube by now. So,
I always like getting the inside look. I'm going to rewatch this again later too, because these are people who love their jobs. But when you're story crafting like this, whether it be back when I used to follow some famous Dungeons and Dragons people, or then Star Wars, or whatever books or media content you appreciate, it's the whole. These are the people messing with canon. Be good to the fans, or it's an interesting job. It's an interesting job that they enjoy doing, and what they bring out of themselves creatively for our benefit is pretty amazing.
Yeah. So basically, one part of it that I did enjoy, despite the fact that they made reference to something I really didn't enjoy, was it was wartime. Not everyone gets the glorious hero death they deserve. And they were basically bringing up the difference between Varian and Vol'jin. Varian died a hero, no questions. I'm still blaming Jaina, the reason he died at all. But he did. He took out the giant Fel Reaver, and then, yay, fine, Gul'dan made him, all explodey. But,
right.
Ooh, piece of Varian.
Yeah. Pocket full of Varian.
Yeah. And then Vol'jin got stabbed by random demon number 6.
That guy, that demon, what a jerk.
Yeah. It didn't... Horde had a genuine gripe in that it wasn't balanced, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be balanced because that's just how things work. I wish it didn't. I wish it worked out differently.
Right.
But that's more of Vol'jin didn't have a chance to really do much except for overthrow Garrosh, and then after that, not anything really at all. But that's just how things work sometimes, really. Not everything's fair. And while I'm still... upset about it, I'm not mad about it. Yes, 2 different words.
It's so if they're coming back for conflict, Vol'jin was the last war chief you wanted in place for battle for Azeroth. Like Vol'jin was like the one that was about the survival of everybody over
Survivor of the Horde, anyway. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, fight together to save Azeroth, as opposed,
Yeah.
He was the most sensible, pragmatic horde leader, least bloodthirsty, least likely to cause a genocidal event.
Thrall.
But
I would say
Thrall was
he was the most. Yeah, that, but
but Thrall literally wandered away.
Yeah, he was like, guys, I'm tired of doing this. You guys deal with it. I'm gonna go and put my finger in the well over here and make sure it stops leaking.
Yep. Good old Thrall.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. He's a good. But you're Sylvanas isn't that. Sylvanas is a pot stirrer. So she might not let you know it, but she's a pot stirrer.
I'm thinking what it was is, and I this is me completely spitballing. I have no inside information, and if I did, I would admit to it. But I'm thinking what's going to happen is Sylvanas is going to do something, whether it is not necessarily sacrifice herself, like her life, but she's going to do something, and it's going to be because she was willing to be that horrible person, and that was what was required to do whatever it is that needed to be done. And that's going to be why we don't lose whatever it is we're fighting after we had done, flicking each other in the forehead. Ow! So.
So, yeah, I mean, does it make you kind of wish sometimes just to have the good old days?
Not in how you're thinking. I would like the back to we're not fighting each other, we're just going to fighting something else because we can fight each other later. I'd like that, but going backwards into like the good old days, my good old days and your good old days could be different. So keep the story progressing and just eventually we just get over it and like, guys, we work together way better than we do fighting each other. Yeah, we're gonna still fight each other from time to time, little itty bitty skirmishes, just to keep each other on our toes. But all out war, probably not.
Yes.
That's my opinion. And now, unless you got anything else for that,
nope.
All right. So
Some might want a drum roll.
I want to talk about ice cream.
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
And what's everyone's favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate.
Oh no! No,
Cookies
you
and
were
cream?
supposed to say no. That's a really good one though.
Strawberry. Neapolitan. Rocky
So
Mountain.
was that not the most bizarre intro on a Blizzard stage
as
ever?
soon as he said ice cream, I was like, oh crap, they're doing freaking classic vanilla. As soon as he said ice cream, I knew what was going on because they write those scripts and they're so detailed. They're not ad-libbing. But yeah, so we got information on WoW Classic. Woo! It was all basically behind the scenes stuff, aka number crunching, info, graphs, that kind of thing.
Yes.
They basically said, hey guys, we're working on it. We know what we're using as a basis of our starting point. And that is patch 1.12. Which is the last patch, if I remember correctly, of
Drums
Classic.
of War.
Yeah, I think that was the last patch of Classic. And as soon as that info came out, people were not happy. They're like, that's not the WoW I want. That's not the classic WoW I want. I want to start at 1.0 or 1.1 or whatever there was the first. I was like, they didn't say they were starting there. They said they're using that as their basis. They could roll it back to 1.1. I don't think they will. I think they're just gonna use that patch for balancing and options available in game and all that. And they're just gonna not release like raids and stuff right away. Like it'll be, you have a year of Molten Core, and then you'll have a year of whatever's next, or however they might just have them all too. I don't know, but they didn't actually say this is where our game is going to be live at when it comes out. It's just that's what we're using as our basis. They could pull it back. Who knows? But either way, even if they do it 1.12. Okay. You know what that means to me? Because I did research. All it means to me is there are more inns, there are more flight points, there are connected flight points. aka you don't have to go one at a time and click the flight master every single spot as you go.
Yep. That's a quality of life improvement I don't think anyone wanted to walk backwards on.
I mean, there's still no looking for group because guess what? That didn't happen until Late Wrath. There's no LFR because that was Kata. So you will still be in trade. Oh, and auction houses will actually be linked for a faction. Not every auction house is a different auction house. So you could go to Undercity and you could see, I don't know, Sharpstone at 20 gold per. Go to Orgrimmar and they're 10 silver. Every auction house up till like 112 was separate. And then you have the cross-faction ones, which are in the Goblin Towns, like Gadgetzan.
Right. So the other part that I think is really interesting is where they're talking about the path forward. Is where do they want to go with this? Because some of the coolest things about playing vanilla was that you then went to Kata. You know what I mean? Like having vanilla experience and then seeing the world destroyed in Cataclysm. You know, those events were kind of the, you know, you can't just get those back, but that's kind of what people, I think, they want, that amazing experience. I don't know. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. My only real major question with Classic, are they going to do AQ the same way? I mean, obviously servers are much more stable now than they were then. But
it's going to take forever. There's not nearly as many players. Remember how much stuff it took?
I didn't get to play then. I didn't start until Burning Crusade. So I'm aware of the event. I'm aware of the
pallets of thorium, pallets of cloth. Yeah. Like you'd bring in you'd bring in a couple hundred a day. Yeah.
Yeah, but are they going to do that again? Or obviously, if it's going to be less people playing, they're probably going to yoink the numbers back a bit. So that's my presumption, at least.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I'm excited because I miss things like Molten Core. I miss things like the PvP. I miss things like I kind of miss the old look of. I know Molten Core was later, right?
It was one of the first raids, but I mean, you mentioned PvP. There were no battlegrounds until like 1.7, 1.07, something like that. So, world PvP for no reason whatsoever.
Also, resist gear on the resist gear used to be important per raid fight.
Yeah, fire, poison. Nature.
Now I'm getting distracted.
Yeah. No, just these are the things that people aren't remembering. You're going to have all these things to go, and I never got to experience it. I probably won't experience the raiding part of it, in all honesty. I'll get some of the leveling, but
some of the original quests, though, like the epic quest. Well, now I don't even remember what patches those. What part of the patches those came out of. But
none of them were there at the beginning. They came in later. So
some of that stuff was really cool.
Yeah, I think that's why they picked. If they do start at 112, that's going to be why you get those quests.
Charming and drowning people on priests. Yes, original Terran Mill used to be a blast to go PvP at, and Crossroads. Yeah, Ashen Vale. You come down to Ashen Vale, and the Horde will be coming out of Ogremere, and you just get in a tussle at the Crossroads.
Yep. And with that, yay, news. They're streamlining it. They're still...
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
I was just saying, they streamlined it. They're working on it. We might get an update at BlizzCon. It ain't going to be out prior to. At earliest, end of this expansion. Earliest. I'm not a betting person, but I would bet several 100,000 gold.
Let me pull up Cross Realm or Cross Gamble and load it up.
On me being right, not on a freaking dice roll.
What?
No. But moving on, because we talked Classic to death. So, I really don't know how to preface this.
The piece that I'm looking at here, is this from our guest of the week from Wednesday? Is where I saw this news pop up?
Yeah, that's where I linked it. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, there are people who use role-playing add-ons, and I did not understand this until I read this story. They want such an immersive experience that what they have done is they've used these add-ons so that when you hover over other players, you get tons of backstory. You get like you can look at their character profiles and bios and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's a third-party add-on that's like using that system to feed that information. On its face, it's like that's pretty cool, right? Like you can get a lot of roleplay value out of that. But what was happening is players were using that bio to dox and troll and bully other players. So you'd pull up the notes, you'd hover over whatever, and it would literally have like their real address and phone number on there that someone is doxing them, and their information is on whenever you hover over, and they don't even know it. So does that kind of mesh with what you picked up out of this article?
Yeah. It was just one of those. I didn't know how to preface it. It was all the short version is what you said. People were being jerks and using the add-on, whether it was, words that you shouldn't say.
Correct. Yeah.
Not just random curse words, but just things that are just you just don't do and stuff like that. And it just was. Some players were taking it too far and it was getting out of hand. Most of them were probably fine. But because some of those players were taking it too far and got out of hand, they can be reported for it now.
Right. Before, Blizzard was hands off because it was a third-party add-on. They couldn't get at any of that data to show that was actually happening. And they've worked it out with these people providing the add-ons. That is now capturable information, and Blizzard can enforce rules on it.
Yep. So, yay, less jerks.
Troll slang 101.
Yeah. I mean, I'm fine with people being trolls. No issue with it, as long as it's done properly.
Proper trolls.
Proper trolling. They need the monocle, the top hat, the game. No. There's a good way of trolling which doesn't actually hurt feelings. It's like, man, well, it would be so weird if Zelda was a girl, or how do you know if Invincible dropped if you can't see it? They're simple trolls like that. It doesn't really hurt anyone's feelings. It's just being goofy. That kind of trolling is fine.
Right.
Getting, nasty with people, that's not. It doesn't do it. What good comes of it? You feel better about yourself for 30 seconds? If that's what it takes to feel better about yourself, then you have bigger issues.
As I misclicked my camera button, it failed again as opposed to my microphone button there for a second. Fail. Posting loser flag on your corpse PvP.
That kind of thing's fine.
It's the being mean. It's the doxing. It's those pieces where I'm super happy that there's a little bit of accountability happening on these guys, because the level of trouble they went to be really mean is embarrassing. Why would you go to that trouble to like dox someone in World of Warcraft? Why? So yeah,
well,
I'm glad.
I didn't get the gear I wanted, and these people weren't letting me go to the raid I wanted to go to, so they clearly don't need to play this game. Yeah, he went to jail too. That was a story from a few weeks ago.
Yeah, good.
So
good.
I don't understand that mindset. I really don't. Like, I actually, not a whole lot of time, but I actually spent time trying to figure it out. Like, what would drive that? And I'm like, the amount of effort it would take to DDoS somebody or dox somebody and all that is actually more than just getting good at a class.
Right, or re-rolling a raid, right?
Yeah. So you're, as I would call it, you're being unlazy. You are being lazy to the point that you're doing more than if you weren't being lazy.
Yeah, and it's who's impressed?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to be like, it's just a way of bullying someone in a inappropriate way, and you should just relax.
Yeah.
If this isn't your jam, go play Fortnite, or go play World of Tanks or something.
Yeah, play something else. We don't want you over here.
Yeah, if you can't handle World of Warcraft, maybe stick to like Game Boy Tetris or something.
So I should probably mention that I myself can be what I call unlazy. A point of example, I used to work at a movie theater. I was in charge of the sign that was next to the highway, changing the letters and putting the words on them. You do it one letter at a time. Well, the ladder to get up there was locked. It had a casing cover over it, but it was permanently there. The ladder was always there. I didn't have to go anywhere. But I forgot the key back at the theater to the lock. So me being the genius that I am, scaled the underside of the ladder until I got past the cover and then climbed around it to keep going up. That's what I would call unlazy. It would have taken less effort to go back, get the key, unlock it than what I did. But I was too lazy to go back and get the key. I was like, no, screw this.
Right?
But that wasn't hurting anyone else either. That was all on me. So just stop being jerks to each other. It's not really all that difficult. And with that, we were going to have a topic just in case we didn't have enough, and it was kind of along the lines of just stop being jerks to each other. But recent news and stuff like that. But we're already running long, so I'm just going to not touch it because I really didn't want to all that much anyway.
It's contentious, and it's
At least I didn't want to touch the reason for it.
Right.
Post-show we'll mention it, but...
Gotcha.
Yeah. No biggie.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I believe that is everything for news. So that would be a show. No, just kidding. Do you have any shout-outs, Galv? Any way that people can get a hold of you online, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so you can find me at Twitch TV /Galvanid, or if you're on the Twitter machine, it's Galvanid Online. My shout-out for the week is the Into the Wild group, Nate from Into the Wild, just because they're trying to, whenever you see a Blizzard game that does not get the attention that's commensurate with, how many people are playing it or how active it's kind of cool to see grassroots organizations pop up, and there's plenty of examples. But, people who are like, I'm going to put my time in and try to make this a better experience for the whole community. So that's just one example of that happening. So that's pretty cool, and hopefully that goes somewhere and launches and it takes off and is useful. So yeah, that's what I got for the weekend. Of course, the raid teams are still hanging in there. That's pretty awesome. Yeah. How about you?
Well, getting a hold of me is simple, at Draven Dresden over on Twitter, or via the Discord. I'll talk about them momentarily. As for shout-outs, I've got two. We mentioned we mentioned both of them. Christy Golden, for the book, because it was pretty cool.
Good call.
But also because she knows that I'm only having fun with her whenever I do the ooh piece of candy joke, and links to pictures of gnomes being turned to dust, and with comments like, Miss Jaina, I don't feel so good.
Trolling.
Yeah, exactly. Good kind of trolling. She knows I'm just playing, and she's getting a kick out of it. That and the Bon Jovi song that I translated lyrics into Warcraft stuff. But yeah, so one to her, and then just over at Blizzard Watch, I'm gonna give a shout out to Ann Stickney, who we carried through we didn't really carry, but kind of carried. But she gets a shout out, not because she showed up, but because she lived longer than most of our normal raiders. So yeah, that was entertaining. Let's see, what else do we got? That'll be my shout outs. That's how you get a hold of me. We have a Patreon for the show, patreon.com/podcastthebigfail. Basically, if you feel like you need or want, I won't say need, well, I did say need, but you know what I mean. If you decide to throw money at the show, yay on you. But also, we'll say thank you. We'll look at you like you're insane. And then we'll say thank you again. Because it helps more than you could ever possibly know. We have a Discord, bit.ly/epicfail Discord. Come hang out. We can all at Scarlet. Or whatever she's going by now. Which I found out. Yeah, she's going by Spanky. She switched out of CTR and went to a lower pop server. She just didn't want to deal with big servers anymore. Which is understandable. It's not for everyone. I like having the option of, if I want to join 13 different raid groups in the same guild, I could. I'm not going to, because there's only so much Taurus and such that I can deal with. Plus, I'm not good on 13 characters. I'm mildly okay on three of them.
I'll be generous and say 1.
I'm mildly okay on 3 or 4 of them. Our theme music at the beginning was found over at bensound.com, licensed under Creative Commons by the Attribution 3.0 license. AKA, give them credit, you can use it for free as long as you give them credit every time. And I went to the Redundancy Department of Redundancy School. So, Galv, I have a question for you. Oh, and in chat, before we go live next week, if you play Warcraft, Midsummer Fire Festival starts on the 21st. So that's in 5 days, as of live recording. If that's something you want for like transmog purposes, anything like that, there's usually some interesting stuff over there. Tabards, I know they've got tabards. Yeah, there's some fun stuff. Great for leveling and mildly okay for gold. If you know what
waiting the question.
So, Gal, before I got distracted with that, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you have any last words for the show?
Be good to each other.
Party on, dudes!